Welcome to Modern Warfare 2. The game begins at a US military base in Afghanistan, playing as the character Private Allen. We're immediately met by Sergeant Foley, who instructs us to head to the pit, where we've got to run a training course and impress the onlooking General Shepard, who's the supreme commander of the US military. So we speedrun the course like an absolute beast, and finish with flying colours. Wait, how rude. Bruh. We then head back upstairs, and there's a bit of a commotion going on, which brings us to the next mission, playing as Private Allen again. At the red zone, Afghanistan, Shepard drags us up from the ground, and we're instructed to protect the nearby bridge. So we fire at enemies across the river, and they eventually retreat. So then we head upstairs, jump in this sexy whip, and man the minigun. We then stand by for a little cheeky airstrike, boom, and then the crew of vehicles proceeds forwards. Anyways, we're cruising down the streets. We start firing the minigun, destroying everything in sight, until an enemy RPG fires down upon us. We then hide away in this building when we get the objective, get eyes on the school. I feel like a Minecraft YouTuber. We didn't realize just how many enemies are at the school, so we pull up and have to destroy everyone in sight. We continue through the school, and eventually secure the entire building. We're then instructed to head to a rally point. We head on over, and eventually bump into Shepard. And he's like, "You're taking orders from me now, buddy." So we jump on his chopper, and immediately after in this cutscene, we find out Private Allen has been reassigned, and he's now undercover, with a completely new alias, trying to finesse this guy called Makarov, who we'll get to later. This is when we're introduced to our next playable character, which is a geezer called Roach. And we're heading to the snowy air mountains of Kazakhstan, and we're on a two-man mission with none other than Soap McTavish, who was like pretty much the main character of COD 4. Anyway, Soap's just having a cheeky smoke real quick. Soap's then like, boom, throw the cig off the side of the map. Soap then whips out a couple of spiky things, and he's like, whoo, going up the side of the mountain face, and all we gotta do is follow his lead. It should be easy, right? After a big workout, Soap and Roach get to the top of the mountain, and now it's time for a little bit of parkour.
I'll see you on the far side.
Of course, Roach wants to try to jump himself, almost dies.
Hold on! Don't let go!
But just as it seems we're about to fall to our death, Soap saves us. What a legend. Soap drags us back up, and we finally reach the actual top and get our guns out.
Roach, check your heartbeat sensor.
Soap and Roach then start sneaking forward and come across this enemy base. We then have to find a way into the base, so the boys split up. Roach starts to sneak on through, and then we bump into this fella just having a little chill. Sorry, mate.
No bad.
We'd have to sneak past a bunch of enemies, cross over the runway and get to the fueling station, plant the explosives. And our new objective is to get to the satellite. So then gives us the location, so we pull up, and we're here to retrieve the ACS module. So then opens the door, we sneak on in. Oh, there's an enemy. So then tells us to go upstairs and look for the ACS module, which we find really quick. And just as we pick it up, we hear the gate opening.
Roach, I've been compromised. Keep a low profile and hold your fire.
But don't worry, we've got explosives. Boom! And then big explosion, bang, bang, got ourselves out of a sticky situation. It's then time for Roach and Soap to escape. We start sprinting, and we manage to survive getting to the objective. We then do a cheeky crouch slide down this hill, and then turn around and there's a bunch of enemies, some of which on snowmobiles. They then start cruising down, coming to get us, and we're like, hey, let me take that whip, bro. Roach and Soap then jump into the enemy snowmobiles, and they begin their great escape, heading to the new extraction point. We then get to this really steep hill, and we notice, at the bottom of it, there's this huge gap. So we pump at the speed. Whoa, slow-mo epic. We then land the jump, and Roach and Soap managed to dip out the lobby just in time. This brings us to the next mission, where we're now playing as the undercover Private Allen, who isn't Private Allen anymore. He's called Alexei Borodin, and he's managed to go undercover and infiltrate into the inner circle of this bad guy called Makarov, who we get to meet straight away in the mission, No Russian.
Remember, no Russian.
So yeah, we got the undercover Private Allen, and he's with Makarov and the boys, and they're just going for a nice little day out at the airport. Hey guys! So Makarov and the boys make their way through the airport, killing everyone in sight. And it is a bloodbath. They eventually make it to the back end of the airport and make their way outside, where they're met by a load of Russian security service, but they're no match for Makarov and the boys, and we just wipe them all out. We then follow Makarov to the evac point, and we got an ambulance pulling up to pick us up, and just as we're about to head into the back of it, boom! Makarov turns around and shoots the undercover Private Allen in the head. Yeah, it turns out the cover didn't work very well. But this is when it gets interesting, because despite the Russians knowing that Makarov conducted the attack, Allen's dead body, and the fact that they were using American equipment, makes the Russian government believe that the US had sponsored Makarov's attack, which leads to a public outcry and the start of World War III. This brings us back to Roach and the 141, and we're now hunting down an arms dealer called Alejandro Rojas, who is the actual supplier for Makarov's airport massacre. And we gotta go to Brazil to find him. So Roach and the crew pull up to Rio de Janeiro, and they manage to locate Rojas' assistant. And he's got some ops pulling up on him, but he's like, boom, 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 triple kill. Which is great until he starts aiming at us.
Bruh.
It's made a bit of a mess. Soap and Roach then rush out of the vehicle and begin to chase Rojas' assistant through the chaotic streets. We're then introduced to Ghost, who says, "He's went into the alley." So when we do get a line of fire, boom, shoot him in the leg. Don't want to kill him.
He's down.
So yeah, we catch the assistant, and Ghost's gonna do a little bit of treatment on him. We're gonna team up with a couple of these NPCs. Love that name. Head into this favela and begin our search for Rojas. Soap and Ghost then locate Rojas. And we head up to the top of the favela. We finally get eyes on the target, but then it seems like he's about to escape. But don't worry, Soap clutches up.
He's gonna get away!
No, he's not. No, this is Bravo 6. We've got the package. I repeat, we have got the package.
Send the chopper now. Command's got their head up their ass. We're on our own.
Next mission. Back to the American boys.
That brings us to northeastern Virginia.
USA. And war has broken out with the Russians invading the US. So we jump out of the whip, follow Sergeant Foley, bump into this BTR, throw down a smoke to walk past it. And here we are. We now have to get to the roof of Nate's restaurant. So we head up the ladder. The enemies eventually manage to breach onto the roof. Don't worry, we have basically an infinite supply of claymores apparently. Missiles start firing down on us from the sky. So we quickly get down from the roof and head on into Nate's. And we have to obtain the Predator drone control rig, which is all the way across the road. Eventually we manage to make it inside. And we pick up the Predator drone control rig. And then we have to destroy the Russian BTRs. Whip this bad boy out and then blow one up. Boom. Blow the second one up. GG's. And with that done, we get the objective to regroup at Nate's restaurant. But just as we're heading over, Nate's gets blown to shreds. And inside Nate's, there's this guy called Raptor, who's like a VIP special high-up person. And we gotta bring him to safety over at Burger Town.
Squad, I've made it to the Burger Town meat locker. Raptor is inside and secure.
That's the VIP experience right there.
Me.
We then hear of attack helicopters coming to our position. So we have to head back over to the diner to pick up a Stinger missile. And yeah, we put it to good use. Bye-bye helicopter. And with that done, we have to regroup at the convoy. So we run across this road and meet up with the boys, jump in the whip, GG's. And with the mission complete, we switch from the Americans back to the 141, playing as Roach again. After capturing Rojas, he gave us some intel, basically saying that if we want to get to Makarov, we need to find this prisoner in a gulag in Russia, so we need to get the heck out of Rio de Janeiro. So Soap gets on the phone and asks his old friend Nikolai, "Hey bro, can you come pick us up?" And that brings us to the start of the mission. Roach and the boys keep pushing through to the evac point. We eventually get to the market, finally get sight of Nikolai's chopper, and Soap's like, "Pick up the pace!" When Nikolai comes to pick us up, the LZ's way too hot and he's got to dip out the lobby. But don't worry, we've got a secondary LZ. Then there's a crazy escape, the whole squad's sprinting through the rooftops. With the chopper in sight, all the boys jump and no! Roach chokes to jump. Soap tries to save him, but nope, he falls to the ground.
Roach! Wake up!
Roach is then dazed and confused on the ground, and you can see militia coming from both sides. So we have to find a way back to the rooftops, and we begin this epic sprint scene, and we just Usain Bolting through this whole gaff. Back onto the rooftop. Shots of them being fired everywhere, but we can see the chopper with the boys on it. And we're trying to get to them, but then Nikolai's like, "Hey bro, I'm low on gas." So we've only got 30 seconds to get to him, otherwise we're screwed.
Left! Down left and jump down!
So we're doing a little speed run sprint down here, and then we see the chopper in sight, an epic jump! And Roach manages to make this one, grabs onto this ladder, and yeah, we dip out, GG.
Way to do, my friend. Let's get into the summer.
So we switch from the 141 back to the American boys. Once again in northeastern Virginia. And we gotta deal with them Russian boys. And we're cleaning up all the enemies from these houses. Can we just take a minute to appreciate the scenery?
Here comes the Celtic warrior. Hopper!
And we push further up the road into this beautiful little neighborhood. We then head through the street, go for this nice house, and then follow the boys into the basement, and the squad ends up here. And we gotta call in some artillery to blow up these vehicles. There's some more down here. Bang! We then get told we have to go to this place called 4677 Brookmere Road. So we head over to 4677. There's fire everywhere. And it tells us to retrieve the intel from the panic room. So we go in, check the panic room, and what's going on here? Anyway, there's a briefcase next to him. Pick that up. GG, mission over. This brings us back to the 141. And after escaping the favela, we're now heading to Russia. So we gotta go to a gulag and retrieve this guy called Prisoner 627. Because apparently Makarov really doesn't like him, and the US thinks it's gonna draw him out if we get him. Anyway, slight problem. There's a bunch of these oil rigs near the gulag, and they all have anti-aircraft missile systems on them. So before we can get to the gulag, we gotta pull up to one of these oil rigs and disable the SAMs. So the boys pull up in a submarine, and once we get underneath the oil rig, we pop out of this thing and it's time to go for a little cruise. So we're sneaking in with a bunch of other boys. Then bro hits this little hand sign. What the? Time to go up. So we're sneaking up to the bottom of the oil rig. Notice 2 enemies in sight. Shh. And we gotta take out the guard quietly. Ain't no problem. Go sleep with the fishies, little buddy. With the guards out, we jump onto the oil rig. And we've got 6 hostages that we need to secure. Everyone, I would like you to meet Peasant. Roach and Ghost then breach this door. Poof. And there's an epic slow-mo scene. We go in. Bang, bang, bang. Take out the enemies. And now we got the hostages secure. We head upstairs looking for the other hostages. You know the drill, boys. Secure the hostages. Roach and the boys put some C4 on their dead bodies. And wait for the Russians to pull up. And when they do, it goes boom. And now our cover is completely blown, so the chaos begins. We have to get to the top deck of the oil rig. So we push on up, encountering a lot of enemies. finally make it to the top deck, slow-mo breach, wipe out the enemies, and then we got a bunch of hostages with explosives literally everywhere. You have to be very, very careful. Time to get picked up. So now we've got all of the oil rigs sorted out. It means we can storm the gulag and get this guy, prisoner 627, the man Makarov despises the most. The mission begins and the boys are pulling up on some choppers. And look, it's the gulag. Immediately it turns to a bloodbath. And we whip out a sniper and start shrekking a bunch of these dudes at the top. So with that done, we land in and we follow Soap and the boys into the gulag. We storm our way in and eventually get to this entrance. And then Soap's like, we go in, grab prisoner 627 and get out. We then find ourselves in the control room. And whilst Ghost is hacking into the system, Roach and Soap head down and they start sweeping through the cells trying to find the prisoner. There's no sign of 627 in the cells. And after a bit of chaos with the riot shield, we rappel down to the bottom of the gulag. There's apparently 627s down here somewhere. We didn't get to the deep depths of the gulag. And we plant a fatty explosive on this wall. Boom! We then kill off a huge amount of enemies in the shower room area. And with that done, we jump into this fat hole in the ground. We then make it to this wall, which we needed to blow up because apparently 627's on the other side. So we plant the charges and boom, time to meet this guy. Who is he? No way. He seems like a nice guy. Ah! Wait, is that who I think it is? Price! Soap and Price then have a little bromance moment, and Soap's like, this belongs to you, sir. Very cute, however, we don't have time for chit-chat because the whole place is blowing up. So we've tried and sprint to the chopper for evac. Captain Price hits a little Fortnite emote, and with so much debris falling everywhere, our exit is blocked and we gotta turn around. We then find ourselves at a dead end, and it's like, uh-oh. And then something falls from the sky and knocks Roach out. Oh, bro's despawned. But don't worry, Captain Price is here to save us. We're still alive. Soap then shoots a flare. The chopper can now see us and they throw it on this fat rope. And we all latch onto it and shoo, time to dip. Alright, we're back to the Americans again, playing as Ramirez, and the mission starts off in a bunker. And things don't seem to be going well for the Americans. That's when we bump into Sergeant Foley, and we follow him outside. Oh my days. Washington, D.C.'s been cooked. We make our way through the battlefields and follow Sergeant Foley into this building. And our objective is to secure the enemy crow's nest on the 5th floor. And to get there, we gotta kill a lot of Russian boys. We finally make it to the 5th floor, and we head into the crow's nest and secure the location. Oh, look at this lovely view. We don't have to snipe some enemies firing on an evac site, so we jump on a sniper, boom, boom, boom. That done, we have to get to the helicopter on the rooftop, and we jump on and man the minigun. We then take flight, and we gotta destroy targets of opportunity. That's until we get hit by a missile, and our chopper's wobbling in the air, and it's like, uh-oh. So we start spinning out of control, and Ramirez then comes back to consciousness. Somehow we survive that. Rodin hands us a gun, but gets wrecked straight away. That's actually quite sad. And we gotta defend the crash site, but we swiftly run out of ammo, and all seems lost. And that's when the game fades to white, and the mission ends. This brings us back to Roach and the 141, and we're in the snowy ends of Russia, accompanied by no other than Captain Price. And he wants us to head to a submarine base, which you'll find out why later. So we follow Captain Price until we come across an enemy patrol, but instead of engaging them, we have to hide and stay quiet. We wait for a convoy of vehicles to pass, shoot these guys in the back. We get sighted, and it's time to speed run. Shh. After sneaking past a load of Russian boys, we find ourselves at the top of this hill. Roach then whips out a Predator drone, but it gets shot out of the sky immediately. Never mind. We slide down this hill looking like a Club Penguin side quest. That's when we group up with Ghost and a bunch of other friendlies. We storm through this snowy little village. What is this guy doing? Seriously. We eventually make it to the submarine, and Captain Price is like, I'm going in, boys. So we gotta protect him as he does so. Roach and Ghost head to this little vantage point. We're then protecting Captain Price as he's in the sub, and Ghost starts pooing himself because the silo doors are opening, meaning a missile could be about to get sent off. But turns out it was Captain Price who opened them up, and he proceeds to send a nuke into the sky, and it's heading to America. But why would Captain Price want to blow a nuke up above America? Here's why, mate. And then there's a cutscene up in space. There's a little glimmering light in the distance on the dark side of the Earth. And yeah, that's the missile that Captain Price launched from the submarine. It then explodes hundreds of kilometers above Washington and creates a hail, which in turn generates an EMP, removing all power from most of the East Coast, with the shockwaves taking out the International Space Station. The game then fades to white and brings us back down to Ramirez. The boys are confused as to what the heck has just happened, and we have to get off the streets and find shelter. So we hide out in this little building, and then Sergeant Foley's like, nah, we still have a water fight. So we follow him out back onto the streets, and it's eerily quiet. We then come across this ranger, and he tells us that we've got to head to Whiskey Hotel. So we head on into this building, go upstairs, got to clear all of these Russians out. But we find ourselves outside again. Oh, look, it's a Burger Town ad. That leads us to this building, and we head down many stairs until we come across the president's bunker. USA! Corporal Dunn opens the door, we head inside, and the mission ends. And the next mission begins right where we left off, and we gotta follow Sergeant Foley to Whiskey Hotel. But getting there isn't exactly easy, as the Russians have taken over the White House. After a huge amount of enemy fire, we get to the West Wing, and look where we're at, boys. And because of loss of communications with the American forces, Central Command's pretty much assumed the city has fallen, and they're about to blow this whole place up. So we gotta fight through stiff ultra-nationalist resistance, and sprint our way to the rooftop of the building, and light off a bunch of green flares on the rooftop to signify that the Americans have taken back over the area. Nice. This takes us from the American boys back to the 141. The boys are trying to find Makarov, and have concluded that he can be in one of two locations, either Afghanistan or the Caucasus Mountains. The Soap and Price go to Afghanistan, and Roach and Ghost go to the Caucasus Mountains, which is where the next mission begins. So Ghost and Roach spawn into the lobby at the Georgian-Russian border, and they're trying to neutralize Makarov. And we're heading to a suspected safe house, where there's a big ambush from a load of enemies. And after we clear them out, we still haven't found Makarov, so we head up the hill, enter a safe house, and do a few epic slow-mo breaches. There's still no sign of Makarov, but it's not all bad news, so we've now gotten to Makarov's computer network, and Roach shoves a USB stick into the Windows XP, and we start downloading all of his files. Oh, and just look at that internet speed. As we wait for all the files to copy, we engage with waves of enemies. Finally, the download finishes, and we go back in to retrieve the downloaded files. And it's time for us to get to the landing zone for extraction. But as we're heading to the LZ, we met with a large enemy presence, and eventually we get blown up. And Ghost's like, "I've got you, Roach!" And he's dragging us away in an epic slow-mo, and we start firing off some shots. And the game fades to black. And resumes with Ghost picking us up from the ground, and we see General Shepard coming off of a chopper, ready to receive the files. So Shepard comes over and he's like, "Do you have the DSM?" And we're about to give it to him until... Bruh. Shepard betrays us, man. Absolute filth. Roach and Ghost's dead bodies are thrown to the ground, and then pour some flammable liquid on us. And Shepard throws his burning ciggy onto the bodies, with Roach and Ghost burnt to a creme brulee. Next mission. This brings us to Eastern Afghanistan, where we're playing as Soap McTavish. Basically, Makarov's men is having a massive scrap with Shepard's men, and we're just caught in between it all. Anyway, there's an LZ we need to get to for Nikolai to pick us up. In the meantime, Captain Price gets on the radio of Makarov, and eventually Makarov gives us intel on where we can find Shepard, because he wants Shepard smoked just as much as we do. And Makarov tells us Shepard is using Site Hotel Bravo. And it's now time for us to head west to the runway, and as we're heading over, we see Nikolai pulling up in the plane. We're weaving our way around all the enemies, and Captain Price pulls up in a whip, and we quickly jump in. Nikolai's now landed the plane, and we gotta get to him quick. But enemies are everywhere. We gotta shoot him! Oh no. The guy who was driving the whip gets killed. So Soap's gotta grab the wheel, and he's got his one hand trying to drive into the back of Nikolai's plane. Whew, that was close. The next mission brings us to Site Hotel Bravo in Afghanistan. And just like old times, we got Captain Price going sneaky sneaky with the sniper. Oh, this is iconic, this gun. We follow Captain Price and discover an enemy patrol. We wait for a few of the patrol to walk away, and once they do, we take out the remainders. Pow pow! And Captain Price is like, "We don't have much time before they find the bodies. Keep moving." So we hook up to this railing and begin our descent. And look at these two Muppets. Hello! With the guards down, we then make our way into this cave, and we gotta hide away from these enemies. We continue sneaking through the cave. Captain Price hits a cheeky assassination. The enemies start to discover the dead bodies, so they start looking for us, and eventually we're forced into a gunfight. After wiping a load of dudes out, we head outside and make it onto this bridge, and we use the riot shield to make our way over to the next destination. We then continue our search for General Shepard, blow up this door, and find ourselves in Shepard's command center. Shepard then tries to lock the doors. We manage to override the system, and it's time for us to make our escape from the cave. And then a Minecraft creeper blows us up on the way out. Loads of missiles start firing down at us. Captain Price is like, "Ah!" And it's time for us to locate Shepard. So we push through, kill a bunch of dudes, and we get to this tunnel, and Captain Price is like, "Head for the tunnel, he's getting away." And the mission fades to black. Now Mr. Shepard's telling lies, and gets Captain Price marked as a high-value target for treason and violent acts against the government, which is obviously cap, but no one's gonna know that if Soap and Price get killed. So we can't let Shepard get away, which brings us to Endgame. And the mission begins with Shepard speeding away on water, so Price and Soap jump in a boat themselves, and they begin their pursuit of Shepard, with enemy forces firing upon us in the water. We then cruise through a really tight cave, and once we get to the other side, we're met by a chopper looking down at us. Oh great. The chase continues, and we have to evade the enemy chopper. We then get to a little drop in the water, and it's like, we're finally getting close to Shepard, but just in time, he manages to jump onto a chopper and make his escape. So Soap's got to slow down the boat as much as he can, so Captain Price can take a good shot. And oh, boom!
But oh no, we're about to fall over the edge of this huge waterfall. Ah! Soap and Price crash into the water and the game fades to black. Soap eventually comes back to consciousness. He's dazed and confused and finds himself on the shore near the waterfall. He then picks up his knife from the ground and starts walking around like he's in a B-hop map on CSGO. We then see Shepard in the dusk and he starts plodding around like a round one zombie. Somehow he survived the crash of the helicopter, so we're gonna have to go and knife him to death. And Soap begins to approach him ready to kill, but oh no! Turns out Shepard is a highly trained MMA artist, and he proceeds to deeply stab Soap. Very sad. He then starts blabbering on a little monologue which no one cares about, points his gun to our face, and it seems like Soap's about to die. But no! Captain Price comes in from the side, hits him with a rugby tackle, and he begins scrapping out. Shepard then drops his gun, and Soap starts crawling over to it, trying to pick it up. We're gonna see Captain Price getting thrown on his ass, and just as we're about to grab the gun, nope. Shepard kicks it away and stamps on our head, with Soap getting knocked out. You then start fading into consciousness again and can see Captain Price and Shepard punching each other's head off like they're in a YouTube boxing match. And Soap is absolutely faded right now. He sees the knife stuck inside of him and begins to grab away at it as hard as he can, spamming the F button to pay respects. After much pain and struggle, Soap eventually manages to pull the knife from out of his stomach. He then hits us with a cheeky knife animation, looks over to the side, sees Shepard beating the heck out of Captain Price, and boom! Slow-mo tomahawk to the face. Shepard is dead. GG. The game then fades to black, with Soap presumably bleeding to death and Captain Price shreked on the ground. But no, Captain Price starts coughing. He rolls over and gets up from the ground, and then comes to Soap's aid. We then see a chopper in the near distance. It's Nikolai. He's came to pick us up. Captain Price then grabs Soap from the ground, pulls him up over his shoulder. Nikolai then comes over to assist Soap and Captain Price. We head to the chopper, and the game ends cutting to black. And that is the story of Modern Warfare 2.